Thank you for listening to Shy Sox Talk with your hosts, Chris and Matt, your weekly place for White Sox fan reactions. Kick back, relax, grab your favorite beverage, and enjoy the show. Welcome back, Shy Sox Talk. My name is Chris. As always, I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Matt. How are you doing tonight, Matt?
We're doing all right, because the Sox aren't playing today. So
yeah. It's an off day from the emotional beating we've been getting.
The absolute emotional atomic bomb being dropped on our faces and eyes.
Remember 7 days ago when they had just beaten the Cleveland Guardians, just won another series, were only 9 games under 500, and we said, Detroit and LA Angels, time to eat. Eat some L's. Time to eat some L's, folks. The White Sox went 2-5 in this game. I mean, hey, they're over 500 in the month of May. What is it, 16 and 15?
Yeah, I mean, if they would have played like professional baseball team in the first month of the season, they would be right in it, but they didn't. Unfortunately, they had one of the worst starts you could ever possibly imagine.
And they would probably be either leading this division or 1 game out, because this division. Actually, the next person who tells me they're just 6 games back or just 7 games back, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it anymore, because they're just 11 games under 500, or 12 or whatever it is now. It's insane.
That's the worst part, because if the Twins were any good, or the Tigers or the Guardians, we wouldn't it'd be over already. It already is over, but it'd be actually really over.
But thankfully, they're not good. And now we have a topic to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about, should the White Sox be buyers or sellers? But before we go into that, Matt and I thought, it'd be a good idea to give each other 60 seconds each to just let out the frustration, Matt. So I'll let you go first. You can just let it rip on whatever you want. And your time starts right now.
Well, I would first and foremost like to say fire Rick Hahn immediately, and fire Kenny Williams, and fire Pedro. Yeah, he's not good. This team is supposed to be contending not for the division. They're supposed to be contending for the World Series title, and they're awful. They're terrible. They're one of the worst teams in the league. And if they were in any other division, they'd be like 20 games out already. So, what are you going to do? They're god awful. And I'm still thinking about probably going to go to a couple games this summer, just because it's really nice to go out to the ballpark. Don't shame me for giving them money, but it's fun to go to the game. I'll probably catch a few. Because I am local to the city, and probably will boo a lot. That's what I'm planning on doing. We're just ripping a lot of boos, and I still stand by. I think I said this a couple of weeks ago. There should be a steady stream of beer bottles being launched onto the field. They should have to forfeit every game from the amount of garbage being hawked at the players.
This just popped in my head about losing every game, because you can be like, oh, they could lose a bunch and get the first overall draft pick. They can't now, because there's a draft lottery. So the draft pick isn't even guaranteed anymore. And
they would draft Nick Madrigal, so it wouldn't matter. He's
a AAA player now. Down.
Great player. Great pick.
All right. I would like to say that the window's closed, folks. It's it. This is it. 2023 was the precipice. They don't have a catcher next year. Yasmani Grandal is not coming back. He's old and he's decrepit. Sebi Zavala's not an everyday guy. If you go to the stadium,
might be the worst player.
Go hunt down Rick Hahn and Ken Williams and demand Chris Getz visit Chicago, find their cars, and throw rocks at them, because this guy's rebuild got you a division win when it was Byron Buxton was gone, and you got lightning in the bottom with Brian Goodwin and Billy Hamilton because Luis Nealer were hurt. And then you got 2 playoff wins out of it. So go hunt down Rick, go hunt down Jerry, throw rocks at their car. You know where they live. Go throw TP at their house. All right, that is so upsetting. Reality sank in yesterday for me watching Lance Lynn throw middle, 82 mile per hour sweeping curves. And he threw the same pitch to Shohei twice, and Shohei took it for a ride twice. 2 of the longest balls ever hit in Guarantee Rate Stadium yesterday, not by White Sox. That was my rant. That's all I got to say. That's it, folks.
Yeah.
I'm going to go find them. You know where they park. Go throw rocks at their car, okay?
And I mean, Lance Lynn's like, yeah, I've been working on a sweeper. Okay, maybe you don't work on it during a game when you're throwing to Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. You know, and save that for practice.
What was it? First 7 batters, 2 hits, 2 walks, 2 home runs given up, something like that.
He has no idea where the ball's going when he throws it.
I think I remember that Giants game we watched, or I mean we didn't watch together because we're in 2 separate locations. We didn't watch it, but I remember watching it being like Lance Lynn just throws middle cutters, middle sweeping curves. Like there's zero control. Or it's spiked in the dirt. It is either down Broadway or it is on a guy's back or in the other batter's box. It's not even close.
And his fastball's below league average now. You know, he didn't prepare for the pitch clock, and he's gassed the whole time.
Yeah, him and Alex Manoah up in Toronto.
Yeah, big boys, burly boys, big guys.
Yeah, it turns out you got to take care of your body now if you want to be a big guy in the league. You know, you can't just be like CC Sabathia, pitch clock era would have been brutally bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he's old. So, you know, like what did he think was going to happen? What did Rick Hahn think was going to happen, really? I mean,
Rick Hahn.
These guys are supposed to be smarter than us, and they're not smarter than like an average fan.
Think about this. We're gonna play a list of things that don't belong. All right. So there are 4 guys in sports right now who've been with their team or recently just left the team that was with them for 20 or more years. Okay. So number 1's Ken Williams, Bill Belichick, Greg Popovich, and the dude who made the Nashville Predators from an expansion team to an every year contender. I forget his name because I don't really who doesn't belong in that list there, Matt? Who's the name that you say 20 years in your job?
Yeah, I think it's Bill Belichick. Oh no, wait, I'm sorry. I was reading that list wrong. It's Kenny Williams.
Yeah. How does this guy been around for 20 years? What is he won 1 World Series. Cool. Like, what are we gonna hang our hat on that for the next 9 years?
I was in high school when that happened, man. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's 7 years old.
I'm not a spring chicken these days.
It is baffling to me. I was in 5th grade when that happened. 5th grade. Frank Thomas was on the Chicago White Sox when that happened. Put this into perspective. That was the last time Frank Thomas on the Chicago White Sox. Well, maybe for like a week, 2006, right?
No,
he left.
He left.
Right, right to the Blue Jays. It's insane. It's so frustrating to me, and it is. I don't know. I think as fans, we all talk ourselves in. There's no way they can be this bad again. But the architects were left in the building. Like, everybody was just going to be better. Luis Robert is good, not great. Like, he's right now, he's a failure. I don't want to hear about how he's streaky or his gold glove. He was supposed to be keeping Mike Trout. He's not. That's what expectations are. You don't reach him, he failed. Yohan Moncada, I love Yohan. Probably top 3 defender at third base. Can't swing from the right side now. Tim Anderson hasn't hit a home run in literally a calendar year. Not a season, a calendar year. Like, Eloy Jimenez can't even eat his lunch and be healthy. Like, I'm overhearing the excuses of, if it was just this one thing. Like, maybe Michael Kopech sucks too. Bullpen arm. Like, it's so, Matt.
And they just have their and it'd be like if they had an approach that was a professional approach, then maybe they would at least walk and get on base. But they don't. None of them do.
I'm gonna look it up here, but I think the last time I looked this, White Sox were third bottom to the league in walks. Third.
And one of the teams behind them is purposely trying to be the worst team in Major League Baseball, and I believe the other team behind them is too. And this is supposed to be a championship contender, and they're an embarrassment. They're an embarrassing team.
Well, their plan was everybody was going to be better, and I get it. Like they're last now. The Royals, Nationals, and Miami Marlins are all. Well, the Royals are beating them by 10 walks. So the Chicago White Sox are now last in baseball and walking. And it's not like last year where they were hitting a bunch of signals and like kind of doing like babbiting teams to death, which also awful plan because you were 500. The White Sox have the 20th best batting average in baseball, so their plate approach sucks. And their best hitter is Jake Burger, who wasn't on the opening day roster. He wasn't on the opening day roster. Billy Hamilton, not on the opening day roster. The guy's been in 3 games, and he was the reason they won 2 of them and should have won the third one, but they couldn't put him in third 3 different times. That's not his fault. He got him
not his fault.
Third base by himself. By himself. Didn't need anybody's help. He was just able to keep stealing bags. And I promise you they get rid of him when he comes back because they're going to want to keep, I don't know, Hanser Alberto and Elvis Andrus. And it's just, I mean, okay, so here's the real question of the show. Should the White Sox be buyers or sellers? Looking to the future, looking at this year, this is the window. Let's just reality check ourselves.
And I think that's why, that's dangerous to have Rick Hahn as the GM still, because he's playing for his job, and he shouldn't be. He should not be who's in charge of the roster right now. It shouldn't be him.
I mean, I agree. I get that. Ken Williams probably playing for his job. Chris Getz, his job should be gone because unless he tomorrow figures out how to develop all the talent.
Yeah, Project Birmingham. Woo! Really working out.
What happened to that? Colson Montgomery, man. He's still batting 200. He's been hurt too, but like, boy,
another guy who's hurt the whole time. What are they doing?
All the time. Wes Cass, seems like a good kid. Knows our friend.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. Son's pitched against Wes Cass. Like, looks like a good kid. Hasn't gotten better. Oscar Colas was sent down to AAA because he kept swinging over balls down and in. Because in the majors, the pitcher's going to make you miss it. In the minors, you might take it for a ride because the guys are going to miss the pitch. They can't even get to him to take the pitch. He's just like, I keep hitting home runs. It doesn't matter. Your job is to learn how to take the pitch. It doesn't matter. You take it for a ride because guess what? Shane Bieber, he's not going to miss that pitch. He's going to make you look like an idiot. Like the second the league figured that out, he just started striking out. And Chris Getz can't get to him to make him better. And he's your top prospect. Like, it's baffling me. So nothing's really going to change, at least on the minor league level, until you get like a whole revamp it. But in this moment, I mean, in your opinion, should the White Sox just go all in and say, we don't have a roster for 24 anyways, it's going to be a bad year, and try to turn the season around? Or do you blow it up and just say 24 is going to suck, and 25, maybe we're okay?
Honestly, it's like they really need to I don't even know if like they can rebuild because they don't have anyone worth trading anymore. They've all shown who they are, and they're not good. So who are you going to trade, and what are you going to get back? You got to get lottery tickets back, and the lottery tickets got to hit for it to even be worth it.
I guess you got to know how to scratch off the lottery ticket, and the White Sox don't. But
they can't even scratch them off. That's true.
I mean, I guess like when I start thinking about trades, like you could trade Lucas Giolito to the New York Mets for Ronnie Mauricio. He's blocked everywhere in that Mets organization because they went and bought a bunch of players and good for their owner. And they need starting pitcher. Like Lucas isn't coming back. It's already been said. They're not going to pay him 7 figures because Jerry Reinsdorf's cheap, and his biggest contracts, Andrew Benintendi and Yasmani Grandal. Like, is it it's the reality is, I mean, you could trade Lucas. I think you could trade Lucas.
Yeah, I think you could move him, but he's on an expiring contract, so you're not really going to get much back from him for him. Like would the Mets even make that trade? I don't even know because they might be able to trade that guy. They might be able to trade that guy for somebody better. You know what I mean?
I mean, Lucas has like a 3.2 ERA. He's going to be 100 mil. The Mets, that's nothing to Steve Cohen. Like we've seen, Steve Cohen would sign Lucas. It's not like Lucas would be a rental. I mean, in theory, Lucas is a rental, but it gives them the opportunity to initially try to make the deal or talk to him or sign him because Jerry's is just a cheap human being.
Well, he's not. The thing is, he's not even that cheap. It's just that he refuses to allocate the money in the way that professional baseball is played currently. Like he won't sign pitchers long term. He won't pay a lot of money for a superstar and then build around that player. He spread, the money spread across Joe Kelly and Kendall Graveman and Hanser Alberto and Elvis Andrus and Andrew Benintendi.
Lance Lynn got a huge contract.
Lance Lynn got an extension.
Traded away Dane Dunning for Lance Lynn.
He was looking like good. He's looking good.
He looked good when he was with the White Sox.
He did.
And Lance Lynn was great his first year. I mean, Lance Lynn is Dallas Keuchel right-handed. Looked great their first year. Fell off year 2. And is abysmal year 3. It's the same progression. And they're old. And they were all in moves when the team wasn't ready to be all. Were the White Sox ready for all in 21 and 22? Obviously not. Clearly not.
I mean, the rebuild blew up when they didn't get Bryce Harper. You think about it, how much better this team would be if they would have signed Bryce Harper when they had the chance and they had the money, and the money wasn't spent.
And they offered him what, 200 million, 150 million, something god awful like that.
Yeah, and with Machado, they're like, yeah, well, we'll offer you the same amount of money, but yours isn't guaranteed with us. You got to, it's guaranteed where everywhere else you're looking, but not here.
Not here, but we have John Jay.
John Jay.
He's my favorite center fielder on this Chicago team. But I mean, you're right. How long have they looked for a right fielder? They're still looking for a right fielder. They're still not trotting out the same right fielder every single day. It is a platoon between Gavin Sheets, who's a first baseman, and Eloy Jimenez, who you got to cover in plastic wrap or bubble wrap because he gets hurt all the time.
And I mean, he's just not a good fielder. Doesn't set up well. Like catching, a couple games ago, could have been a play at the plate, but he, fielded the ball so poorly on a fly out to right field that the guy walked home. It's just,
and he doesn't have a right fielder's arm.
And he doesn't hit 40. He's not hitting 40 home runs. So, what's he on the team for? What's his purpose?
And spare me if you take his 2022 stats and his 2021 games and his 2022 games, that equals 163 games, and he hit 34 home runs. That's over 3 seasons, folks. That's not. You don't get to just bundle those games together. That's over 3 seasons. He could have been really bad all those other months. He was hurt and not productive, and then ultimately would have only had 20 home runs those years. It's not. We don't just get to pick and choose. That's the same thing with we posted that video on TikTok about Luis Robert being like, I don't like to look at analytics, and people I like Luis Robert, but you're held to a higher standard. You're supposed to be great. You study and you have to look at analytics. You don't just get to be hot for 2 weeks and hit 6 home runs and then be bad for the rest of the weeks till you're hot again for another one. You just don't get to do that because you're supposed to be the guy that they build around. And at what point in time has Luis Robert been the face of this team? He hasn't. It's Tim Anderson.
Only for a couple weeks at a time. But as far as trading, the only one of the other than Giolito, maybe you trade Dylan Cease. Because I mean, he might be lightning in the bottle guy. That season last year might be the best he'll ever be. And if you looked at his peripherals, he put a ton of guys on base and got out of jams a lot last year, which is lucky. That's luck.
He's not doing it this year.
He's not doing it this year. You can't get out of the 5th inning. That's not an ace. It's not an ace. Moncada might be the only guy who'll bring anything back. Well, Cease would, because he's a quality like third pitcher. Like he'd be a great third pitcher for a lot of teams. But Moncada might, because he's got the glove. Like that's a Gold Glove third baseman. And you would maybe hope if you're trading for him that the bat comes around, but he's got no power. He gets injured literally all the time. And I don't know if he's soft. Like I don't like to call these guys soft, right? Because I don't think these guys are like, oh, I'm gonna dog it because I'm softy. They're professional athletes. I don't really buy into that. But he's injury prone, and like, what are you gonna do? Like a guy can't stay on the field. Guy can't stay on the field, and he can't hit for power because he keeps getting hurt. He's not doesn't like right now. It doesn't look like he's ever going to put it together. All those guys that we thought had the ability to be really good players, they just can't put the complete package togetge ever. This is years and years and years of this now. It's not. These aren't young guys anymore. They're getting old, and they've been in the league for a long time.
This was the window. Like two things. One, Yoan Moncada. Fun fact: who played the second most innings last year behind Jose Abreu?
Got Moncada, right?
Yep, Moncada. And everybody said he always sits out for hangnails. Like the guy is on the field all the time, and he plays hurt all the time, and still looks like an absolute stud in the field. And he's viable at the plate. Like whenever this challenge system comes in, like the guy's going to have an on-base percentage of 700. Like he's just going to walk all the time.
He's got a great eye. He's got a great eye.
And when Yaz was signed, Rick Hahn said 23 is the window. That's when Lucas is done. That's when Tim's first option comes around. Like we don't have our catcher in the system was Zach Collins, and he had no shot at ever developing to a guy past 23. Like this was the window, the first window. And then that second window that they talk about was 24 was the retool year, and Colson Montgomery gets his feet wet, and like maybe Wes Cass plays second base, and you have Norge Vera maybe coming out of the bullpen, and like then 25 it opens back up because you got Eloy and Luis and Moncada for one more year, and like all these other pieces that we saved for a second go around the sun. Like that second window isn't even there anymore. It's not even like this.
Devastated. It's devastated. Like the foundation that is bad. The foundation is bad, and the house on top of the foundation also bad.
Bad. The foundation is mud, like wet mud, and then the house is like the rotten wood that's also wet.
Yeah, paint job bad. Shutters bad. Garage is a one-car garage, and you have to manually operate it. It's not electric. The roofing is falling off. The windows are cracked. There is no air conditioning. There is no heat. It's bad, man.
And you live down the street from Wrigley. They built the house down the street from the Cubs stadium.
Yeah.
And it is, what the most frustrating thing is? You look at the north side, and they're like, wow, what do we need? We need a shortstop. Let's go get Dansby Swanson, and we need a Gold Glove caliber outfielder, Cody Bellinger. Who did we scream about last year that we wanted? Cody Bellinger. And everybody was like, he has no pop. He would have led the team in home runs, and he'd be leading the team in home runs right now. Everybody.
And Marcus Stroman. Marcus Stroman's a stud, too. Should have signed him.
I never liked Marcus Stroman, but he is very good. I will give him that. He's good.
Team would be looking a lot better. I would feel like the team would be a lot better if they had Marcus Stroman. You just add that one guy instead of him going to the north side.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're not wrong, because you probably don't have Lance Lynn. And you probably have Dean Dunning, and you don't have Mike Clevenger. That's probably
I forgot about Mike Clevenger. I forgot that jerk. Trade him for anything.
Anything. Well, and the White Sox are like, well, if we're going to be bad at 24, 25, you trade the pieces that aren't ready, and you go all in, which means like you get rid of Colson and Cespedes, who I don't understand why Cespedes is still in the system. If he was better than Oscar Colas, he would have gotten the call up. I don't know why Luis is signed for 6 more years, and Andrew Benintendi signed for 5. Why are we not moving Oscar or Quelly Cespedes? Like this is again an example of Rick Hahn, just a bad GM. He's just a bad GM.
Yeah, no, there's no thought behind what he's doing. There's no thought behind what he's doing. He's just like they obviously, very obviously, are not dialed into like the way baseball is being played currently, and they have made no adjustments.
It's like what do you even do here from Office Space for everybody who gets that reference? What do you even do here? Right? Like what do you do here? And what do you do when you're in a locker room, Matt?
You usually get undressed.
No, you use code
Oh,
ShySockStop for 10% off all locker room access and merchandise. And maybe there'll be a shirt that says, "What do you even do here?" And it's just Matt and I throwing rocks,
punching each other in the face.
I keep looking at this team, and there's just they don't come back from this. I want them to. I want their games to matter. It's way more fun watching them matter, but it's hard to believe when like you're 12 games under, you had a chance to really dig yourself out of a hole when the Twins were playing Houston Astros, good teams, and you're playing the Detroit Tigers, who are better than the White Sox. Sorry, fans. They proved it. The White Sox are like, we'll prove it. You haven't proved anything other than the Detroit Tigers are better than you. And it's just I want to be positive. I want to be the ray of sunshine, and we typically are, Matt. But I don't got after yesterday. I don't got it to be positive right now.
Basically, the only way they could turn this around and in a quick fashion is if Brian Ramos, Lenyn Sosa, and I've had a third guy I was thinking of. Who's that? Christian Mina, the pitcher, get called up in our Hall of Fame caliber players.
Well, Lenyn Sosa we've seen, and he threw about a second instead of home, 2 outs on a shallow pop fly when nobody was covering second.
Yeah, I mean, I still have a little faith that he's going to could be a quality player in the majors, just because he's always struggled at every level when he's moved up. But I mean, some guys just come up to the majors and they don't have it, and they can rake.
But like now's not the time to be struggling.
No, like, but maybe in about 3 days, it's time to call him up again.
I mean, yeah, in 3 days, maybe you send Elvis. The fact that they're in this division is why Rick Hahn, and this drove me nuts. Watching him talk, being like, we don't know yet. We need to see. We're still in it. If you're in the AL East, you're like, we're blowing it up because we're 20 games out and it's Memorial Day. Like, it's what they are. It's what they are. You are your record, and you are 12 games under 500.
And they're the third worst record in the league.
Yeah, you are the third worst. You're not unlucky. You don't have, like, you can't blame Tony La Russa anymore. Like, I can blame him for the development, but, like, 2 months in, Pedro, like your whole thing, like if you're really changing guys, everybody should be using the eye pitch and everybody should be doing the fundamentals. And Lance Lynn shouldn't look like a slob that throws middle, like sweeping curves.
Batting practice. Still batting practice out there currently.
Kopech hits people and Dylan Cease still walks guys. Like people just aren't getting better. They're just not getting better. It's this literally
at all.
If you took a 2019 game, pick any of them, pick the one we went to against the Mets. And then compare it to today, they're all the same. They're the same people. It's been 4 years, the same guys.
Yeah, it's rough. No development whatsoever at the major league level, and doesn't look like they really develop in the minor league level.
There's no development. They need a whole overhaul of everything, and that's tough. But
it is tough.
What's not tough is when you go to the ballpark. You can have a beer or a Coca-Cola, depending on your age. You could have a hot dog, a pretzel, do whatever you want. Just enjoy it.
Yeah, and I mean, those tickets are going to be paying people to come to games soon. Like that's going to be tough for them. There's going to be like 10,000 people or something. Like,
don't buy it from WhiteSox.com. Go to SeatGeek or Game Time or any of those other apps. Don't give the money to Jerry. If you buy on those other apps, the money's already given to Jerry. He doesn't get more. Okay, and then he's going to cut payroll anyways next year, folks.
He already said that, which is insane that he came out and said that. And so, like, he's like, he just became like the majority owner of this streaming platform called Stadium. So get ready to have to pay even more to watch the White Sox.
Well, so I have a theory.
Which actually might
that.
be cooler. That might be cooler. Honestly, I'm not that upset about that. But you're going to be paying Jerry directly. Like,
I got a
cut a check
on
to Jerry
that.
Reinsdorf.
We can wrap up with this. So my theory on that is they're doing that so they own their rights because Major League Baseball, once the teams, Major League Baseball own the streaming rights, right? So they will own the rights to their own games, which makes it more profitable for somebody to buy the team from Jerry. I got like a conspiracy theory on that.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that thought.
You know, because he already told his kids, when I go, keep the Bulls, sell the Sox. Maybe he's looking to sell because maybe his kids just don't want to deal with it.
I would love for new ownership, which, you know, could be worse. It could always get worse. That's one thing we've learned from watching the beloved team here on the South Side. It can always get worse. So, like, you know, it's possible that it does get worse with the new owner, but I think I'll take my chances. Because
you know he's not going to keep a job for 20 years, Ken Williams or Rickon. Rickon has been the GM for a decade now, or 11 years. And he has 2 winning seasons, 1 in a shortened 500 season, and that's it. So he's done.
Yeah, Rickon, jeez, bud. Come on, bud. Just retire. Quit. Like, aren't these people embarrassed enough to just quit?
I mean, he's probably making a pretty penny and having a sick job. Even if I was a bad GM, I wouldn't quit.
Yeah,
that's a sick job.
It's because he's not getting rotten vegetables hawked at him. You know, it's not like the olden days.
That's what I'm saying. If you see his car, throw rocks. Got any advice for the fans before we go tonight?
You know, I think I'll just stick with the advice I kind of give pretty often is like, maybe go out and enjoy a ball game. You know, it is very real. It's a beautiful thing, the game of baseball. And if you kind of just, I know it's tough to do when you're watching the game on TV, but if you kind of just, I think I saw someone on Twitter say this. I wish I could source them on this, but it's like, if you look at the games as an independent event that you're attending and you don't think about the game before and the game after, and you're just in present and that you're just there to enjoy watching the beautiful game of baseball, I think you can still have a pretty good time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love going to baseball games.
I mean, I'm still going to watch the White Sox every night when they're on. It's, you know, it's good to put on in the background. You know, maybe accomplish some things while you're watching the White Sox. You know, like I don't know. You know, maybe do research, read a book with that in the background. You know, whatever. But you know, just try and enjoy it because it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
That's the reality of fandom, is it doesn't matter how good or bad the White Sox are. It doesn't matter if we go in here and we praise them or if we're real upset. Tomorrow when 7:10 Central Time rolls around, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be kicking on the White Sox game. In the back of my head being like, this is going to be a world. This is the night. This is the night where they turn around and become world beaters. Like, it's just, until mathematically it's impossible.
Yeah.
And then when it's impossible, next year. It's the night where they build for next year. Because I'm a fan. That's what we do. We talk ourselves into hope.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they'll go on a 10-game run, and you know, who knows? Probably not, but
as always,
still be under 500.
that is an always thing right now. And go White Sox.
Go White Sox.